You will want to remain alert.
Of all the men to cheat, you picked John Kramer?
Please, don't hesitate. Place a big enough piece of your cerebral tissue into the glass enzyme tank. This will save your life.
So sleep, silent
This is not retribution. It's a reawakening. Live or die. The choice is yours.
Alright, y'all, it's your boy Fro, and today I'm going to be talking about the 10th entry in this franchise, Saw X, aka Saw 10. So ain't nothing to it but to do it. Now, this one off the bat, I really enjoyed, and I would probably even put this Saw film in my top 3 out of the entire franchise. This is coming from somebody who's seen the Saw films from the beginning. Around, this first one came out 2004, but the first time I saw Saw 1 would be around 2006, so not that far off. I would say that I grew up with the franchise. Now, this is a big reason why I feel this one stood out more than a majority of the other Saw films. We focus on John Kramer way more. In fact, he's the star. He's the actual main character of this film. And before, he was present, but he would be more so the background. While he's putting the people in the traps, he would mostly be a voice. Spoilers. There's going to be spoilers in his title, but if you haven't seen the first one, he's dead on the floor for nearly the whole duration of the entire first film. But then the twist is he gets up off the floor. And then in the second one, I remember him being in it, talking to the cops and the detectives, but he still wasn't, I would say, the main title character. It is based around Jigsaw, but this film, Tobin Bell knocks it out of the park. I would even say this is my favorite performance from Tobin Bell playing Jigsaw or playing John Kramer. Now, the plot to this one is John Kramer finds the cancer in his body. He's going to cancer support groups, sitting there and listening to other people's accounts of what they're going through. And he comes across a guy named Henry, who's a part of the group. And Henry puts John Kramer onto a new team of doctors that he feels can help John Kramer's cancer. And Henry shows that he has a scar, that he's a patient, and that he's feeling better. He had 4th stage pancreatic cancer, I believe. And he's saying, hey, John, I went through these doctors. I'm feeling way better. I think they got your back. I think that they can beat the cancer for you. So John Kramer, he gives it a try. He goes to Mexico, talks to the main person of the team, the main specialist. Her name's Cecilia, I believe. And at first, it's made to seem that everything's going to be fine, John. You're going to live a happy, long life. And this is going to be a success. But the tables turn. Again, this is spoilers, but the tables turn. John finds out that this team of doctors were actually phonies. They were putting on a front. They're stealing the money from these patients. And this chick, Cecilia, is pretty much the head, and she's the one collecting all this money together and putting it into the bank accounts. So John comes to his conclusion, these guys are pretty much scumbags. And there's a couple of people that are in on it together. So it turns out these people are the ones in the traps in this film. And this is a big reason why I believe Saw 10 is a huge plus and literally in my top 3 Saw movies of all time. This plot feels very personal. In fact, we see a couple moments with John Kramer that we've never seen before. There were both tiny and big moments in this film where it felt more personable getting to know John Kramer, getting to know this character. We've been used to him mostly being a voice or being the mastermind behind these traps. But in this film, we get to see Kramer battle the cancer and what he's going through, the thoughts inside his head, him having a little bit of faith with these doctors in the beginning and then having it crash down and him turning stone cold again. This is a bit of a spoiler, but a certain character, a little boy, shows up near the finale, and we do see a glimpse of him in the beginning where John fixes his bike, and the little kid is Spanish, so he teaches him a Spanish word like, oh, this means pull, and that comes into play near the finale. The boy shows up again, and we've just never seen this side with Kramer, him hugging this boy, telling him everything's going to be okay. There were just little moments like that that I really appreciated personally. It might not even be a biggie to certain people, but I felt the personal side of this story. Like, you can argue a good amount of people in the franchise have been bad people, but sometimes they're really dumb mistakes or they're oblivious mistakes, you know, and you do genuinely feel bad for some of these trapped people. But this film is the first time that I would believe where everybody in the traps is pretty much a scumbag or did something very scumbaggish and they were all in on it together. If I can recall, I believe this is the first time we've ever seen this in a Saw film. And I really enjoyed it. I got a kick out of a bad guy like John Kramer putting these bad guys in the traps. So it's a bad guy going after the bad guys. And of course, there's those points where Kramer gives these people a second chance at life. And these traps aren't physically impossible to get out of, but they're extremely brutal and very fucked up. Like, if I was in one of these traps, I don't know if I'd be able to do it because this shit's fucking insane. There's been some Saw films across the franchise where we feel muddied with the overall motive of John Kramer. We're like, why the fuck is this guy doing this? This just feels like blood and gore for the sake of blood and gore. But Saw 10, really, I really appreciated the personal aspect that they threw in with John Kramer, his cancer, the doctors, them being phonies. This might be my favorite personal story out of all the Saw films. And I know that's pretty high praise, but I can't believe it myself. I was one of the first people when this film was announced that this movie is going to suck. This movie has run its fucking mill. The wheels are about to fall off. Why are there 10 Saw films? I'm happy that I can put my foot in my mouth because I really enjoyed this film. It was a big surprise because honestly, I feel I did not like Saw 3D. Saw 6 was okay. Saw 8 was okay. I think that one was Jigsaw. It was okay. And then Spiral, I really wanted to love with Chris Rock. I wanted to give Chris Rock a chance, him tackling this type of film, a horror film, specifically a Saw film. So I was really anticipating Spiral. But then that one disappointed the shit out of me as well. Spoilers are in the title. But Amanda Shawnee Smith, she comes back. And I really love the chemistry between her and Tobin Bell. I thought they did a great job in this one. It felt more personal again. We get one scene where Amanda's kind of questioning Kramer a little bit. And he says, hey, if you're going to take over, you know, you got to have thick skin and you got to realize that these people are making really bad decisions and we have to give them second chances. So I really like that scene in this movie. It was like a mentorship thing going on between Kramer and Amanda. And I liked Amanda popping up. She has a couple funny lines here and there. Shawnee Smith does look a little bit older nowadays, but it didn't bother me too much because I had saw a previous review where somebody said it bothered the hell out of them. And I was like, it didn't bother me really that much at all. I still liked Shawnee Smith's performance. Thought she did a good job. And the people in the traps, I think, do a good job too. The acting is solid. You have a little bit of wooden acting here and there, but not much. I honestly thought the acting in this film was a lot better than some of the other previous Saw entries in the franchise. We have a great actor, Michael Beach, in here, who I think is really underrated. He has a pretty small role, but he is the guy that refers John Kramer to the doctors. So he has a pretty pivotal role, but it's small screen time. And he does come back into play without spoiling too much. I gotta say, these are some of the better traps that I've seen in a very long time. One trap I really loved. One dude has fucking pipe bombs attached to his arms, and he has to cut out the wires attached to the pipe bombs in his arm. And it's very brutal, gory, gruesome. And even me, I'm a blood and gore guy. But this one pushed it to the limits just a little bit in this film, like more so than the other previous 5 or 6 Saw films. Like this one, I thought brought it back to the very bloody and gory roots that made you wince like, oh man, because through the films, they got really rinse and repeat and you're like, I'm a little bit desensitized to them now. But this one brought it back to that very brutal effect. I was like, yo, damn, they're going there. Dope. So I enjoyed the overall traps. I don't want to give all of them away. The pipe bomb one was just an example. And one final note that I really appreciated, the blood and the gore in this film is about 95 or 90% practical. I was very surprised with this. There have been previous entries that had very shitty CGI and very noticeable animation with the blood and gore that was horrible. That was like, yo, this looks like a cheap B-grade film. Specifically Saw 3. I remember some pretty bad CGI in that one. But this film brought it back to the practical roots, and it's very brutal. Final note, Saw 10 is probably my favorite Saw film since Saw 3. And that's almost 20 years ago. That's about over 15, if I believe. But it's been a while. Fro is surprised. I'm very fucking surprised. I'm going to give Saw 10, on my first watch, an 8.5 out of 10. And that's it, y'all. It's your boy Fro. Until next time, hope you enjoyed the review. I got more coming up. Stay tuned. Subscribe for more if you like hearing the Fro nerdy talk. And peace.